Hello to everyone, this is Vishal and today we are working with the Kotlin tutorial and hope all are doing good. And I'm happy to see that many users put here good comments and their eagerness of learning is good. So time to time I'm here to help you in a short videos so you can learn the basics of all new components, new technologies, whatever be going on in Android. And as I already shared tutorials of the room with the Java in which we describe the things, basic things of the room and room with room with RX Java with retrofit all together. So these all we have worked. So now these things we have to learn with the Kotlin and Kotlin with the room. That's interesting part of a learning because of whenever we work with the Kotlin, it shorten the code, and whenever you work with a short code it become that means rare chances of that means it is a fix or the rare chances of doing mistakes on that because of very few lines we have to work with that. So let's start with the room, and I already described how we can implement the room. So just little bit theory will describe to you again that whenever we work with the local databases, so here we have a new component in Android. So that is called the room. So I'm taking the combination of Androidx and room, Androidx RX Java and Androidx Recyclerview here. So these be the new technologies in the Kotlin. So three important parts whenever you work with the room, that is entity, DAO and room database. So these three things we have to learn. For more descriptions, for more details, these talk I already uploaded, and in my previous Java session I describe each and everything with the full basics, and that means those who want to work with the theory just go with that tutorial. Okay, so here whenever you work with the entity, so here we can say that entity is like a model, and we can approach that entity with our database access objects, and the DAO is what is see DAO is we have we can say it is an interface, and whenever we work with the database we need to access the DAO first. Okay, so here you can see this the structure of entity, SQLite, DAO and room database. So this is a very simple room database. So here you can get access the things in your view model repositories, and these all structure we have worked with our that means we implement in our Java. But today I'm just describe you how you can work the entity, DAO and room database in a Kotlin. These three things in a room. Okay, practically. So just I'm giving the knowledge of again, that is entity. Whenever working with the architect components, we have an annotated class that describes the database table. So whatever your table, it's just simple your entity. And sometimes that our model is our entity. So that means whenever you work with the web services and you want to store that the same model in your table, so that means that is entity and model together will work. Okay, so this kind of tutorial I also describe in one of my tutorial, that is on YouTube. And DAO is what? DAO is a mapping. Mapping means a mapping of SQL queries to functions. So whenever you work with your queries, whenever you put your queries, you all queries be put it on your interface, and that interface is your DAO. Very simple. And that DAO, that means whenever you want to store or retrieve something, we need a room database. So these three things, and the rest is your repository if you want to work with the view model. But today I'm not going with that, I'm just direct access to that on your activity. So on new sessions I will describe you these things. And here, very simple structure. This is your model, and this is your DAO, this is your database. So these three things we have to implement in Kotlin. Okay, so and also this is your RX Java. The same things we are working with the, that means we have to observe, we need an Android scheduler. These all I describe in the Java, just the same things, but in a Kotlin little bit way of working is different. Okay, so this is your dependencies I describing in Android Studio, how you make your entities. So these all I am describing you here. So let us start in Android Studio. Okay, so let us start in Android Studio. So here the most important thing is, as I told you many times, we need a Kotlin capped because of its use for the new component. So here I'm using the capped component, that is for the compiler room, and below I have Rx Java 2 and Recyclerview. Because of we are working with API 29, so that's the migration of Androidx, and Androidx nowadays it's very good for making apps. So we have a new features here, and already Android, I mean the Google give the restrictions that the minimum API level be 28. So you have to start the work on Androidx. That's the migrations in new API. Okay, so let's start it for the capped one, and here I am using simple kt file, and first we have to create a Kotlin, and I'm making a, as I told you, that is the student class. Okay, and in this student class we can say this is your entity. So this is your data class, and data class is student class. And here we need to make a constructor, and because of this is the data class, so we need a entity, and this entity here I'm using the table name, and that table name is your student. Okay, and if you are using your model, so you can make the model and that entity same as I describe you in my Java tutorial. So that's very interesting, you can go with that also. And here after that, making the entity, we need at primary key. So here in primary key what we have to do, we need auto generate. It depends on what you want exactly. I want auto generate true. Okay, and here I have an ID, and so I'm making this for int. Okay, let's see what it's saying to me. Only name arguments are available for the Java annotation. Okay, so here you can say that your table name student. Okay, so that means it want to say that you have to pass the value with the table name. Okay, so next is I want to go with the column, and that column info at column, sorry, this is your, yes, so this is the column info, and in column info I want to go with the name, and that name is your uh, student name or whatever be. I'm just giving the name only. Okay, and this is your name, and here I'm using this student name, and this is your string. Okay, uh, and the next is we have to go again for the column. So which one is a primary key? No need to make a column info, and which is your rest of the fields, you have to give the column info here. So this is the way of working with room. Okay, and here we have age, and that age I'm using the int. So this is our simple student class, or we can say entity. Here the table name is your student. It's so easy. Now we have to communicate with the database, so we need, I mean, for the query and this kind of stuffs, what we needed, we need a DAO, data access object. So for this again you have to make a new Kotlin file, and that is your I'm using student DAO. Okay, so easy. So here I'm making an interface, and that interface is your student DAO, and add DAO. That is an important. Okay, and under that we have to do something like this. Add insert. This is the direct command. We have an insert command here, and insert, what we have to insert, that means we have to create a function below, and I'm using the function name insert. And here we have a student class. Okay, and in this student class, that means we have to insert something, that complete class we have to insert. Okay, and on the next, what you have to do, we have a query, and whenever you work with a query, that means we have to get back the things in our recycler view. So what you have to do, you can say that select from blah blah blah, like that, and you know that select star from student, and you can see that it's automatically give you your entity name here. Okay, so this is your select star from student, and order by, I think I'm doing wrong, order by uh, name ascending. And here what we have to do, we need a func get student list. Okay, and that list we have to return as a list, and that list be your student class. So that means we return the complete student class B as in a form of array list. So these to be easy. Now we have to go with our database name, again a Kotlin file, and here I am using a student database. Simple three basic structure you have to cover. So that is your add database, and in database, this is your, you can take all the entities be here. Maybe you have worked with the more entities, so here we have to create a array of, and your first entity be your student class. Okay, and this is your simple class, and that class, and we have a version, uh, sorry, okay, and we have a version, that is your one. So simple, you have a class, database class, and in which we have to use a version, and here we have to create that class student database, and that is our room database. So simple with constructor. So that's our simple room database, but here a little bit different, or a little, we can say it is typical code, because of few lines, because of as we create the instance in the Java, but how here we can say a singleton, or I create an instance for the class DAO. So for that you need to make an abstract, and abstract function, that abstract function be your, you can say student DAO, and that student DAO you have to create for the student, your DAO, simple. And here we have a very good object that is called your companion object, and if you want to work with this, I will explain you more about that, but today just simply say it's for the companion object we have to create an instance inside. So I'm using an instance, and that instance I'm creating for my student database. Okay, the same thing as we have done for the room of Java, and that is your null. At this time nothing we have an instance of null, and here I'm making the function that is your get app database, and that database be your context, and that context for our student base. Okay, this one. So here you can say that context with the student database. Okay, for this function we have to return something, and we have to return that instance. And below code is, that means if nothing we have, that means your instance is equals to null. So what we have to do, we just simply say you have to synchronize, and that synchronizations for our student database class. Okay, those said what's the difference between the Java and the Kotlin, but here uh, many times we need the help of the Java in our Kotlin because of compiling in a form of your Java classes. We have to create like a class dot Java extensions. That means not a complete features depend on Kotlin, we can say we need a Java also too. Okay, so here we have synchronized, and that synchronized what we have to work with that instance, and that instance is equals to, we can say this is your room dot database builder, and in this builder we have to work with your context dot application context and comma student database, and here we have a double colon class dot java. Okay, so here, and that class dot java we need it for your the name. What is your database name? You have to create it student db. Okay, and dot build. So once this be ready, I think there is some mistake we are working. Context application context we have, and okay, so the things be fine. And here what is saying that assignment are not special solution allowed in this if instance is equals to null. That's my mistake. Okay, so everything is ready. Here we can create our instance that we have to call in our main activity. Okay, but before that, as we are working with that means we put something in database and we want to retrieve something, so let's check. We have to create one more file that is called your adapter. Okay, so let's see how you can create it. So you can go for your next Kotlin file, and this is your student adapter. I will show you how you create a simple adapter whenever you work with your Androidx Recyclerview. So that's an important part of this programming. Okay, so before creating this adapter, I am using a layout because of we have to work with the inner layouts. An inner layout. Okay, say sim inner, and in inner layout we have our wrap content, and here I'm using just simple one text view in which I'm just showing the name of the student which we insert by the room in your database. Okay, so here I'm giving this ID, no use of it, but we can say that this is your student name, and text size is 30 dp, and text color be your color accent. Okay, and here the background color color primary. So just simple. And here this is your inner view. Okay, and now we have to go for the adapter. So for the adapter we need a class student adapter, and that is your Recyclerview, and that Recyclerview dot adapter. And here in this class we have to work with your student adapter, and I want with the view holder for that. So for the view holder I'm just using a class view holder that we need it. This is your view, and for this view I want a recycler. Which kind of view you want? I want a Recyclerview dot view holder. Okay, and here in this case I'm passing that view. It's an easy, and here we just give the name of that, but before that I need a student adapter dot view holder, and now it says something to us, that is your alt enter. Okay, no need for that. Recyclerview dot adapter, and here inside we have a student adapter holder, and just use this. Okay, primary primary constructor, and here implement members. So you have to implement all the members be here, and delete this to do, and yes, shift and delete this. Now you have a shift and delete this. Okay, so now first we have to go for the our count values and likewise that, but before that inside your student adapter we need some parameters. So here first parameters be our list. So this is your items, and this is your list as in what we have created, student class. Okay, and now we need a reference, so we need a context, context. Okay, so this we done, and our well items list, well context, recycler view, student adapter, and okay, this is our get item count. So first we started from this item count be here. So here I am returning our items dot size. So here it return the item size we have, what we have. Okay, that is, and now on the create view holder we need our layout inflator inside that. Okay, so what we have to return, we have to return view holder, and this is your layout inflator, and that inflator dot from our context, and context dot just simple as we doing with the Java, that is our inflate r dot layout dot inner. Okay, what we have created, and comma parent, and comma false. Okay, so these things we have to return as in three things we have to return as in a view holder. So that's easy. Number two be ready, and here what we have to do for our bind view holder, it's so easy. You have to work with the holder and dot student I think doing something wrong. What we needed, student names. Okay, but what we have there in inner student name, so why it not showing to me? Okay, I'm checking this as an val student name is equals to view dot, yeah, that comes be here. So it means we need a folder question mark that student name. So first you have to put it on your view folder, that's with important, then it comes be here. Okay, so whenever you work like this, you have to work first, you have to create that on your main folder, then it return on the main value. So here we have an items, and here we have an items dot get, and that get we have a position of that item and dot student name. So it's work. This is our very simple adapter. So what we have done, we just simple create a single line class view holder. That view holder we have to pass here, and on the first create view holder we have to take the layout inflator for our inner layout, and then here we have a size, and here we find the value. Very simple. And now what we have to do, we need an activity main, and this activity main I want a simple relative layout, and here I'm using a visit, and this is your match parent wrap content, and this is your, here I'm giving this ID if you need it, and that be your recycler view. Okay, and here I'm using the button, and on a button match parent wrap content, and uh, here we have ID is click, and text is click, and bottom parent align bottom be true. Okay, and text size be your 25 dp, and background color be your color primary. So whatever be your choice, you can do that. Simple. And in this relative layout, everything's be ready. We now go for the main activity, and main activity is very interesting because of on the main activity we have to use our Rx Java. So for the whenever you work with the main activity, first you need the instance for that the private where db, and that your student database. Okay, you directly call that database, and that is your null. So these things you have to work in your repository, but I'm not going with that, so I'm making these things on the main activity. But whenever you work with the MVVM, you go for my previous sessions of the Java, and I will describe you again. So that's your repository, and that repository be your view model, and then it showed your activity, because our activity is just for simple input and showing the values. Okay, nothing else. Do not do any calculations with that. May your activities. Okay, and now this is your student DAO. Okay, and you can say this is your student DAO. Again, this is your null. Here I'm showing both the approaches, just like if you want to call the button in the Kotlin, and there is no data binding, so you can use that to find view by ID, and that's your button, and alt enter, and that button be your r dot, you can fetch it with your IDs click. Okay, so this is the way you have to work. And if you want to work directly, just like in our recycler view, that's I'm approaching, that is your layout manager, that is equals to linear layout manager. That means both the way you have to work. So this is your linear layout manager, and this, and okay, nothing else. And if you go for the button dot set on click listener, and on the click listener, what you have to click, you need some clicks event. So on click listener, in this, what you have to do, you have to pass something be observable. So this is your observable reactive. Okay, whenever you work with your observable, here we are working with the reactive x. So here dot from callable, and I'm using that, not using directly, I'm using this like. So we need a DB here, that is the student database, get app database, and this. So we have created the instance for that. Okay, and here we have a student DAO, and that DAO work with your student DAO, and that student DAO we have to call on that by the DB. Okay, that means it execute our query. So DB is our database instance, and by that we have to create student DAO instance. Okay, and here we have a student, and we have to insert something on our student class, and that class be our, I'm using 11, and this is the Vishal, and this is your 22. Okay, give the right age, so 32. Okay, so here this is choice, and here I'm using with student DAO, and inside student DAO what we have to do, this dot insert student. So that means it insert complete student, because our query is what, our query is simple student class, we have to insert here. So easy. So this is the way you have to do with your uh, insert values. Okay, now the next one is your DB. I want to fetch that values, so db dot student DAO, and for this get student list, I want that. Okay, so this is very simple, and here dot, if you go with the subscribe on, and on subscribe we need a schedulers. I think I already described you many times in my tutorials how the schedulers be work, and what's the use of, and what be the IO. I think all sessions I have clear for you. So first you go for my previous sessions how they work. So this is your Android schedulers. Okay, this is your main thread scheduling, so always very simple, this be ready. And now how you can fetch this and how you can show this, so we need to work with the subscribe. So here I'm using dot subscribe. Okay, and in subscribe, if you want to go with like this, like I enter, because of on subscribes I want to check that whether it be right or not. So here I'm using the size, and that size below it dot size and dot toString. Okay, and here on the same way you have to use that your Recyclerview dot adapter, and that is your student adapter, and inside that, in the student adapter, what you have to do, you have to use this it and comma this. Okay, so this be ready, and if you want to check your errors, say comma and say log.d error, so you can show your errors or apply something on the case. Okay, so no need to make a try catch be here, so it's very easy. So let's see in your Genymotion what be the answer for this and how it works. Okay, so let's see what be the result of this. When we click on that, you can see this is the Vishal. Okay, so if you want to make more, you can just compile it and run that, so you can show the age also. So this is the way you can work with this room. So thank you so much for the day, and if you want to show if you want to check your database or like that, I already explained it how you can check your database and how you can check the insert values be there. So that's the way you must uh, watch my previous sessions of the room in a Java. So the same things be there, but here in a Kotlin little bit programming bit different, but it's very easy and very less code we have to work on that, a simple room example. So thank you so much for the day, and you have to wind up, and we'll come soon for the next video.